Hello and welcome to Santos on Sports, along with my partner in crime, Mr. Chris Santos. I am Paul Santos. Welcome in. It's fun time. It's time to talk sports. We'd like to thank our sponsors, of course. We're very grateful to them. Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street, Fall River. Citywide Glass with 3 locations to serve you at 425 State Road in Dartmouth. Additional locations in Fall River and Taunton. Lakeville Athletic Club, 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville. And John Seed, attorney at law, 156th 8th Street in New Bedford. You can go to his website at johnseedlaw.com. Mr. Chris Santos, how are we doing today?
I am good, Paul. And from me and all the fans out there, we'd like to wish Paul Santos a happy birthday that happened this week. So,
yes, thank you very much.
Happy birthday to you. I hope you had a great day and a great evening on your special day.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. The only thing is now I've gotten to the point where I really don't want to have any more of these birthdays. I mean, they're enjoyable and it's fun. You have family, you get the cake and everything, but they're starting to stack up. You know what I'm saying?
Did you notice how I didn't ask your age? I just said happy birthday to you. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we're going to go right back to sports.
Yeah, right back to sports. Well, actually, I want to start out. We put it in the question there. Yep. Did the Celtics overpay for Jaylen Brown? Well, you know, it was either pay him or not. Mm-hmm. But I got to tell you something, and you and I have had this fun little debate. I've always thought that Jaylen Brown was very close to Jason Tatum, although I still think Tatum's a little bit better. I will concede that. You know, in fact, Jason Tatum's game has gotten better, especially with the assists, especially with making people around him better and all those kinds of things. And this last year, I mean, Brown played better against Golden State in that final series before, but this last year, not so much. So, I mean, you know, I'm not even sure that he's a second-team All-Star, to be honest. But now the Celtics have to basically empty out the bank and give him the Supermax. And I don't know, he wasn't so quick to sign it. It took him forever to sign it. They were negotiating back and forth. Like, what's there to talk about? You're going to be the highest paid player in the history of the NBA. Why are you taking so long to sign it? Well, he never really says he loves the Celtics. He never really says he loves Boston. Never really says the things that you want him to say. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, when he signed it, he has a press conference. It's very guarded, you know? Like you want him to say, hey, I love Boston. I love the Boston fans. I want to be a Celtic for my whole career. I can't wait to sign this deal. We're going to fight and claw, and me and Tatum are going to claw and get to the championship. I didn't hear any of that. You know, he signed in his deal, and a year from now, 2 years from now, he's going to be grumpy, and they're going to have to trade him. And except that it's going to be harder to trade him because somebody else is going to pick up the money. So I don't know. I think they should have got rid of him, quite honestly. I hate to say it. I mean, Marcus Smart, kick him out the door, bring in Porzingis, bring Willard in. I mean, you know, do something else. I mean, this Brown Tatum thing, I don't know. He's jealous of him, you know. And by the way, I'll let you go in a second. The first thing he says, he goes, "Oh, we got Porzingis in here. You know, we can play some defense. Play some defense." Oh, so that's how it's going to be. Porzingis, you play the defense, and we'll score the points. You know, I'm already getting like a bad feeling about this. You know what I'm saying? I hate to be negative. Right? I know I'm turning into Mr. Negative over here, but I don't know. I just there's something about this whole thing that I don't know. I don't feel right about. What do you think?
Well, I'm a Tatum fan, as you know, and obviously in a year from now, I would expect him to get his deal reconstructed and probably be the highest paid player in the NBA. But that being said, for Jaylen Brown, I'm going to be positive, Paul. I'm going to go with this one, even though I consider him the second best player on the team. And obviously the team success will kind of say to me the duration of what this contract is. So you're going to go from, as I've written it down, 52 million, 56, 60, 64, 69. That equals that Supermax deal. But if that success does not continue from what's been going on, then yeah, I expect the Celtics to kind of make some kind of move probably next year with him and maybe trade him and try to get some other star names in there. But with the retooling of getting Porzingis, getting rid of Smart, you know, I think there's a 7-man rotation now, and I think you need them two guys. He's 26 years old. 5 years means 31, which is prime time for me. Him and Tatum have been into 6 playoffs now, 4 of them to the Eastern Conference Final. And I just think they need to work together and get this championship that they deserve with him signing and Porzingis. They're already the number one favorite in the East. Vegas already has them as the heavy favorite going into the season. So I think the only thing that can stop Jaylen Brown is Jaylen Brown himself. Now, according to stats, he's improved in a lot of categories. And we saw some of the weaknesses that Golden State exploded and then the Miami Heat exploded this year. And that's the ball handling skills. And I think he's going to take that to heart and say, I'm better than that. And he's going to improve his game in the ball handling skills. So, he's improved it in his shooting. And I think he can do the same thing there. And I believe, Paul, they need him if they want to make the big runs and bring back championships to Boston. So I'm with it. I'm positive for it.
Do you think that if they had the opportunity, and I'm not sure they did,
Yep.
to trade for like Damian Willard, would you have
Yep.
done that?
I would have to see, how it really put into perspective the whole package. But Lillard's older. I think Brown's coming right into it with Tatum. They're at that age that now it's time to take off. You've had that earlier years of that kind of, get rid of that little baby stuff and become men now. And let's lead this team to the promised land. And those two guys can do it. Add Williams, add Porzingis, add Horford. That's 5. You add Brogdon, you add White. There's your 7 rotation. Then you got your subs coming in after that. So I like it. I just hope it can work for them. And they need to stay healthy. That's it.
All right. So what do you think about this? Let's get the phone number up there, 774-762-6234. Is Brown worth that much money, $1 million a week? I think is what it comes out to. I mean, hey, that's what the market is. That's what the market is.
No,
but
it is. But, I mean, do you let him walk? Do you piss him off? Do you play hardball with him? Do you get him upset even more than what he is? Or do you just say, let's go, man. You're one of our top guys, and let's go get it. So that's what they decided to do. And Steven said, we got it. We're going to make this a move where you and Tatum have worked for 6 years of being in the playoffs, 4 to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now let's get the ring. So let's go do it.
It just felt, I don't know, kind of forced. There's something about the way it went down when you hear him speak, when you hear this whole contract thing, and it went on for a longer than I think it should have. Yep. So I'm thinking to myself, something doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? There's sometimes where we're always joking around, you're the X's and O's guy, and a very good one, by the way.
Thank you.
I have more of this feeling about stuff. I just kind of look at it and I go, I don't know. Something about the way this went down doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like people are forcing themselves to say the right things and, and stuff like that. And I don't think he's that happy here. You know what I mean? Maybe if they start winning and they can somehow put it together, get Marcus Smart out of there. I don't know. Maybe he was a guy that wanted more attention than he deserved. I don't know. But it just feels like something's not right. Now, I hope I'm wrong. On paper, you're absolutely right. When you run down that rotation that they have, that's got to be, if not the best rotation in the league, one of the best rotations in the league. I mean, assuming they're healthy, that's a tremendous rotation. So maybe it'll work. I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't know. It was just something about the way the thing went down that didn't feel right,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have the outgoingness, the mannerisms, like a Larry Bird, how he used to talk, how McHale used to talk, even Ainge, DJ, some of the great players, Garnett, Pierce. These two guys seem a little bit more quiet, reserved kind of style. Not bad-mouthing, but yet at the same time, don't look complimentary. So I think, Paul, you're getting that feeling. You're looking for something from them and out of them that says, we're in it for the Celtics, and we're Celtics green and pride. And I'm going to take this contract and I'm going to show you guys we're going to win a championship. I think you're looking for something like that. And I just don't think those two guys are that kind of personality. Maybe they just say, I'm just going to prove it on the court and I'll show you this. So I hope I'm right in that area. But yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more hype, a little bit more excitement to say, this is our team. Hey, I got what I wanted. It's time to start winning some championships here. Let's get going and be motivated. So I agree with you. I think that's what you're looking for. And I was hoping that would be a little bit more out of him too, after making that big deal.
You mentioned I had a birthday a moment ago. Maybe It's just that I've been around too long and I kind of harken back to the old days where, the Red Sox players really dislike the Yankee players, just like the
Mhm.
fans dislike them. And now, same thing with the Celtics, and you mentioned the Larry Bird teams. Like they really had a dislike for the other teams.
Yeah.
They really dislike the Laker players.
Yeah.
They really dislike the Detroit Piston players, Houston, and so forth. Like we do. The fans dislike them. The players dislike them. The
Mhm.
players are one of us. That's all gone now. The players are in their own club. It's like they actually have less dislike for the opponent than we do as the fans. You can see it with Kyrie, right? The fans have a strong dislike for Kyrie. They have a strong dislike for Draymond Green, and meanwhile, the players are like, they're all buddies. They all went out for a drink after the game. They don't have the same feelings that we do. So I feel the same way. Like I don't think Jaylen Brown, hey, he's doing good work in the community, off the court and all this kind of stuff. But I think he'd be gone in a second and not even think one thing about Boston if the opportunity came. And that's probably the way it is for all the players in the NBA nowadays.
Well, now that he's got his money, whether he gets traded or not, or stays, he can sit back and pat himself on the back and said, I've done what I've needed to do here. Yeah, now I want rings. Can I get it here? Or do I get traded and go get it somewhere else? So I don't think the Celtics are done either, Paul. I think they still may have something out there or something left in the tank, and maybe make some more deals. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of names that always come up, and the Celtics is always a place that people want to go. So we'll see.
Well, the team is a little bit different. You mentioned before, Marcus Smart is gone. They bring in Porzingis, right? So now you have more of an inside-outside game, right? Tatum, who's much more of a guy who, makes players around him better. I think he did this year. I like the idea when you would send me, hey, look at the assists. Look what he gets all this attention and he's dishing the ball off. Which Brown, I don't see Brown stacking up assists. Now, maybe he doesn't get the double teams like Tatum does and stuff like that. So I'd like to see him share the ball a little bit more. Now you got Porzingis. Porzingis is used to having the ball. So how's that going to work? Okay, now you put that aside. As far as the guard play, I like the fact that White and even Brogdon are going to have a chance to step in there and now, be more part of the starting lineup, be a little bit more involved with the game, a little bit more involved now that Marcus Smart is kind of out of the way. That should be interesting. I think the game will open up for, say, Brogdon and White in a way that it didn't before.
And if I'm Brown and I'm Tatum, I just want to work on my weaknesses. And right now for Brown and even probably Tatum, it's turnovers and ball handling. I'm not worried about their offense, Paul. They're going to score. I mean, they're one of the top guys in the league in average points, maybe 30 a game, 28 a game. I'm expecting to see that. I want to see better defense, and I want to see better ball handling and turnovers, where those are key stats when you get to the playoffs. And that was exposed by Golden State, and it was exposed again by the Miami Heat. So they need to shape that up and be better at it. And obviously ball movement, that's always a thing. But, they're great players that they're going to get their points and they're going to score and rebounds and everything else. So if they can do that, I'll be happy with what I'm seeing.
So what do you think? 774-762-6234. Did the Celtics, by breaking the bank and giving Brown all this money, is that going to be a mistake down the road, or is it going to work out? Give us a call and let us know. I think the other thing is, what about the pressure? Now you say, well, there's pressure on the Celtics to win. They're coming into their own. They're into their late 20s or mid to late 20s now. But you know how the Boston fans are, right? Hey, the Boston fans, they're loyal. They love their teams. They root for their teams. They support their teams. But when things aren't going so well, whether it's the Red Sox, Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, they'll let you know about it. And the players say that. They kind of appreciate it in a way because they're playing in front of fans that care. But Jaylen Brown goes out there and bounces the ball off his foot 3 or 4 times and coughs the ball up. People are going to go, oh, there's your $300 million going down the tubes. And it does get back to the players a little bit. What about that? Do you think he's going to have more pressure? They asked him that question in the press conference, and he said, well, I welcome pressure. I'm a professional athlete. He said kind of the right things, but I gotta wonder about that. Like, he's now being paid like, obviously the top player in the league, at least for now, until the next contract comes along. And is he going to hear like, hey, Mr. Big contract here, what's going on? Is that going to be a problem, do you think? Do you think the pressure could actually be a negative?
Well, if he does not put up what he has been putting up and he is not getting better, then yeah, he's going to struggle. And yes, he's going to hear it from the fans and he's going to hear it from the media, and that will be pressure as well. So if he's averaging 28 points, right now in the last 2 years, and he comes in and he's only averaging 18. Now his points have gone down, so obviously they're going to talk about that. If his ball handling continues to be poor, and they're starting to realize other teams are figuring it out, and he keeps turning the ball over, yeah, they're going to get on him. Is that now? Remember, Paul, when you're getting the best player in the NBA money, you have to show you're the best player in the NBA. Because if not, you're going to get hit hard. And the media in Boston will hit you hard. You watch Felger and Maz and you watch some of these shows, they're going to crush you. So you better be prepared that if you got that max contract, that you better put up or shut up, or they're gonna ride you. There's no doubt about it. They will ride him if he does not. So, as I said, the team's success will determine the duration of Jaylen Brown, whether he stays for those 5 or they decide to get rid of him.
Well, shout out to Eileen Lolis. Thank you very much for looking in today. Tommy Williams, thanks a lot for watching here on Santos on Sports. Again, if you'd like to chime in on the discussion, give us a shout here at 774-762-6234. You see the number up there on the screen. And hopefully you can give us a shout or type in the comment line. While we have a chance here, there's a lot going on right now.
Sure.
Obviously, the Red Sox, they went 15-5 in the last 20 games. Kind of like when you're not paying attention. I mean, I put these games on. And, I'm watching the game and I'm like, gee, some of these young pitchers, we mentioned this last week, some of these players are pretty good, Some of these guys like Duran, they're coming around. Verdugo, Devers is dangerous. He's swinging for the fences all the time. The defense could still be a little bit better. They do the little league home run thing every once in a while, throw the ball all around. But I don't know. I do see, in all fairness to Chaim Bloom, it does feel like a core is kind of developing here. And the only thing I would say is you go 15-5 and you're still a game and a half out of the wild card. These other teams must still be winning or something because they can't seem to gain ground. But are they close enough? Like if you were the general manager, right? Wouldn't you just go out there and say, you know what, we're close enough. We could catch fire. We have a shot. Why not make a move here or there? I mean, you don't want to sell the farm, but if you can get some help over there, shouldn't you go for it?
I believe so. I think they've improved since the last time we've talked. Casas is coming to his own. He's up to like 253 now, and he was like 217 a month ago. So another guy who's improved. Pitching staff has kind of stepped up. Story in AA, AAA, starting to get the swing back, getting playing time there. Expect him back in the lineup. That should help as well. You had homers from Devers last night, Duvall last night, Yoshida. Guys are doing the job. And what I'm starting to see, Paul, is a rotation now. Something that Cora is putting together an everyday lineup. Not plug in, switching. It's now Duran first, Verdugo second. Devers, he's starting to find what he likes in this lineup. And you beat Atlanta. I know it was only 2 games, but you took both of them. Best team in the National League right now is the Atlanta Braves. And last night, it was a come from behind. You were down 3-0. Devers got the homer, and then they continue from there, and they end up winning the game late from 7th, 8th, and 9th. So those are obviously good signs to say we're never out of a game, even when we're down. So, Bello made one bad pitch. Albies hit it deep to the bullpen, a 3-run homer. Besides that, he was pretty solid. Young guns, young arms, and hopefully that can carry him as what they call the dog days of summer. And here it comes pretty soon with August and September. So are there moves to be made? Always can be moves to be made. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like your boy Ohtani will be available anytime soon because the Angels went out and got 2 pitches, a big-time starter and a good reliever. And so looks like they want to keep Ohtani and make a run, being 4 games out of the wild card themselves and over 500. So it looks like they're going to keep them. In fact, Ohtani pitched the first game of a doubleheader today, made his first complete game, and they won 6-0. So maybe he's excited about what they did, but he's going nowhere, it looks like, and probably will stay with the Angels.
All right, 774-762-6234. Let's go to the phones here and say hello. You're on Santos on Sports.
Hi, it's Andrew from New Bedford.
Yes, Andrew from New Bedford. How are you?
Good. So, as far as the Red Sox go, yeah, it's the same thing as always. We always are down. Somehow they come back. They're miracle workers, and I think we're going to have a very good chance for the wild card and even go further. They always do it. They're a Boston team. Boston teams somehow always do it.
All right, what do you think about that?
Yeah, and I've always said, Andrew, that remember when you're in Boston, you always start in cold weather. It's April, it's May. You got to get yourself going. Red Sox had some injuries, with Sale and a couple other guys. If they get their full team, when they have that with Story in the lineup, maybe Sale back in the lineup throwing, and get everyone where they are, I think they have a lineup that can contend. And I've said it already in the past. To me, it will come down if their pitching can hold up. The young kids are going to have to show that, yes, we can stop. Pavetta and a couple other guys in the middle relief, and then you get your back end to obviously help out. So for them to win the wild card or get in there, I think it's going to have to be not by the hitting. It's going to have to be done by their pitching, and I think they can get it done.
They can. I mean, they at the beginning of the year, that's their warm-up period. That's the period they go, yeah, okay, we're going to sit back and relax. It's this time of year. This is when they come in and they play their best.
Yeah, and I think the beginning too is when Cora's trying to find out, okay, what my lineup's going to be. What's my everyday lineup? That's what I'm looking for. And then when you add new pieces to the puzzle, like Duvall and Yoshida and Duran and new guys in, now you got to try to figure out, well, where do I want to slot them in? Justin Turner, another guy, where do I want to put him? Cassis, when Story coming back, you got to put all that now, and that's what a manager's there for. So I think he's doing it pretty good, in my estimation, of what I've been seeing recently, to make a run at the wild card. I don't think they can make a run for the East, but I definitely think they can have a shot at the wild card. It just comes down to their pitching.
But you know what? Look at it this way. You never know, because they hold back and then they come in strong. Yep. We've seen them do it before.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you were the general manager, Andrew, what would you do? Would you really go super aggressive at the trade deadline?
No.
You'd go with the young players.
Yep.
Try to build.
You like everything you're seeing right now and wouldn't touch the roster.
Nope.
So you're going with the Hein Bloom approach. You like the Hein Bloom approach.
Yep.
I guess we just have to be a little patient, huh, Andrew?
You have to. It's one of those things that, you see them down and you want to turn the game off because, a true Boston fan is going to think, well, knows that we're going to come back. Someone who's not a true Boston fan goes, yeah, we got it. And then all of a sudden, look at what they do. They just start coming back.
And remember, Paul, it's 180 games. It is so much into the season, and unfortunately, injuries is a part of the game. Unfortunately,
exactly.
Yeah. So you just have to write it out. But again, August and September, the 2 months that everybody says, if you're going to make your run, you got to make it then, because those are the dog days of summer, and you need everybody there.
And they will. They will. They'll put Chris Sale and all them down in what used to be McCoy Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put them in the training camp, get them fixed up so they're ready to go.
So you're optimistic about Sale being able to finish the season without any recurring injuries?
As long as he can get his therapy through their camp, I'm very hopeful. If you remember, I can't remember what World Series it was, and I cannot remember the pitcher's name, but he ended up getting that bloody ankle, and look how long he played with that thing.
Oh, Schilling. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look how long he played with that, and he was hurting.
Yeah, right. I know.
But he played with it, and look what happened.
All right, Andrew from New Bedford, thank you very much for watching, and we appreciate you calling, and call again.
I will. Bye.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you very much. Okay, we had another call that was calling in, and I was trying to put the other caller on hold. So if that was you, give us a call at
Please do.
774-762-6234. we're gonna have to expand my setup here, and have like second and third lines over here,
Yeah.
so I can bring people through. But yeah, it was a great call. Very interesting, boy. He's really optimistic. He likes the fact that
No, he's determined that the Red Sox are going to win this wild card and make the playoffs, and he likes what he sees right now and what Core is doing with this lineup, and he likes what these young kids are doing on the mound and in relief. And so his cards are all in to say, hey, the Red Sox are for real.
And what do you think?
Like I said, I just think it comes to their pitching because I like their lineup. I've always liked their lineup, and I think when Story gets in, it's just another added piece. As long as he's able to do what Trevor Story can do, I think they're going to be fine hitting. It just can the young guys in the pitching staff do what they're supposed to do. Go 6 or 7 innings, then let your bullpen take over, stay in ball games, and just hang in there. So I think it just comes down to that. It will be close. Let's put it that way.
Well, we were talking last week about, the standings, and, because it's still a little ways to go in the season. Sometimes I'll check out the wild card standings. I don't really pay attention to the American League East standings. And, so one day the Red Sox are up and they hit a double off the Green Monster, and the ball kind of bounced around out there. And of course the camera panned over to the Green Monster, and they get the standings up there. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let me get my remote here for a second. Something's not right here. So I go back and I see that Baltimore Orioles at the top. We were talking about it last week. I'm like, wow, I haven't seen that. I had to go back to the Brooke Robinson days to see that one.
Well, let's not get carried away with the Brooks Robinson, but
they were in first place after that. You're right.
I understand what you're trying to say. Listen, I'm hoping the same thing. Maybe make a couple of moves in the bullpen. I like to get maybe another setup or two guy from 7th and 8th inning, because I think the closer's been doing a better job because that's what they're going to need. They lost it the other night. They had a chance to beat Philly. They were up 3-1. They gave up 3 in the ninth and lost 4-3. Those are games you have to win and close out. So they didn't do it. They got 3-game series with the Yankees starting tonight in Baltimore. So that's always a big one. But, hopefully they can distance themselves and make a little move in the trade deadline and see how that goes. So, I'm not wishing for Ohtani, but hopefully I can get a good arm in there to help us out.
All right. Let's go back to the phones here. Hello, you're on Santos on Sports.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw New Bedford guy in live stream said, call this number. Did the Celtics overpay for Jaylen Brown?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yes, they did. They didn't even make it to the finals. Of course they overpaid for them. If they're going to overpay for anyone, it needs to be Tatum.
Now, what is your first name and where are you calling from?
My name's Josiah, and I'm calling from New Bedford. I'm actually from Indianapolis, Indiana. I just moved to Massachusetts in December, but I follow sports very heavily. And hell yeah, that's the highest paid contract. Michael Jordan didn't even get paid like that. LeBron ain't even get paid like that. And you're paying somewhat above average player the biggest contract in NBA history. I can't. Luka Doncic didn't even get paid that much.
That is true. And listen, it's not going to stop there because things are going to change. And not only Brown, now it's going to be the next guy, then the next guy. So he's going to have that claim to fame for a little bit, but that's going to change and someone else is going to get it. And I'm sure when Tatum gets reconstructed next year, he's going to be even better. But, he's the second best player on the team, as you said. And I agree with you. I think Tatum is the better player, but they didn't want to lose, that tandem and let him walk for nothing. They wanted to find a way to do something with him. Could they have made a trade and make it a little bit easier? It's possible. But if he don't pull something off this season and be in the hunt to be in the finals or win it, he could be gone by next season. Paul, you agree with that there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that last part?
I said they gave Jaylen Brown $300 million, so he'll be around. You know, they're not going to give him $300 million and then send him on his way next season.
He was saying, Chris, that bringing Lillard in was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
who in?
Damian
Lillard.
Yeah, because he's not a wing like Jaylen Brown, and goes the argument. Like this guy, he's a point guard. He's also a kind of a clutch fourth quarter kind of a guy.
Yep.
People say he's a closer. So he's bringing like something different to the table. What do you think about that, Chris?
Well, a better ball handler too, and which is something that Brown kind of lacks, and somebody you need down the stretch to go along with Tatum. Even though they say Brown's that's the kind of guy they want him to be along with Tatum. So there's two options down the stretch, and that's what they want to get out of him. But the Celtics rolled out and retooled to be a championship contender. Mm-hmm. And if they do that and he leads them to the finals or wins it, everyone's going to say, obviously, what a tremendous move and so forth and so on. And if he doesn't, then obviously Brad Stevens goes back to the drawing board and says, okay, what do we do now with Brown and how does it work from there? Because don't forget, Tatum's contract, I believe it will be up next year too. Now we got to start working with him and what's going on there. So there's a lot going on with the Boston Celtics right now. But yes, big season coming up. And, they went out and gave the contract. So let's see what he can do. So
we'll put Josiah down in the category of, yes, the Celtics overpaid him. Mm-hmm. All right?
Yeah, absolutely overpaid him. I feel as if they could have made a trade and made something happen. The thing with Jaylen Brown is, I would say Tatum is a franchise player. Jaylen Brown is barely scratching the surface of that. He's more a role player. And Damian Lillard is also a franchise player. I feel if you bring Damian Lillard in with his skill set with the Boston Celtics, honestly, I don't feel there's no reason the Boston Celtics shouldn't have made it to the NBA Finals this year and been a solid contender to the Denver Nuggets. I don't think that I watched that finals, one of the most boring NBA finals that I've watched in the past 7-8 years. I mean, it was lopsided. It was, I don't know. The Celtics choked, man. And if they didn't, I don't know what happened, but they should have been there. And
all right.
And I think they have the potential to do it again this upcoming season, without a doubt.
All right, Josiah, before I let you go, you're from Indianapolis. Were you around when Peyton Manning was over there?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was bittersweet, because Peyton Manning would have put together an incredible regular season, and they're going, back when there were 16 games when he was playing. So they go 13-3, 14-2, and they get to the playoffs and they meet the New England Patriots.
Hey, our boy was more clutch.
They would meet Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in the AFC every other 2 years, and obviously Brady's got 8 of them. So Brady and Manning's got 2. So Manning does have 5 MVPs. Great quarterback, but choke.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Josiah. Call again.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to Nelson in Fall River. You're on Santos on Sports.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Nelson, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Great.
Just trying to stay cool as best I can with this heat.
Yeah, I know.
Question of the day. Did the Celtics overpay for Jaylen?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Absolutely they did.
All right.
Am I saying he's not deserving to receive a contract like that? No, I mean, he's going to put in the work in. And he reinforced that point at the press conference.
Right.
Here's my problem with big contracts like that. It's you're paying someone, or not just Jaylen, but anyone in particular. You're going to pay an NBA player a bulkload of money without even seeing them produce, or if they will produce on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. When someone accepts that type of contract, that comes with huge expectations. And the thing is, you don't know what's going to happen on the court. I mean, he could. I'm not wishing this on anybody, but they can endure a season-ending injury.
Right. I think what I think you're saying, and I think what the concern is that Tatum's not like a top 5 player in the league. He might be a top 20, or top 25 or something like that. But he's being paid like the greatest player of all time up to this point. And I think that's a concern. We've seen this happen in other sports where somebody rolls out the bankroll and all of a sudden you're not playing as well as you did before. So I don't know. That's a concern. I think that's a legitimate concern, Chris. What do you think?
Well, the concern is, what have you done since you've been in the NBA till now that makes you get that contract? So from the years 20 to 26, which is what Brown is now, has he done enough to get a Supermax contract on his stats, on his what he's done with this team and how far he's led him? So according to Brad Stevens and them, they're saying by doing this, we need him. He is a big piece of the puzzle that's going to continue to lead Boston in the next 5 years to the NBA Finals or win championships for the city of Boston. Because what he's done from 20 to 26, he's improved every single year in the categories, from rebounds to scoring to assists, and he's done such a great job. So they're rewarding him for his actions so far, saying now is your time, your prime seasons, your prime of your years to lead us now and take us to the next step, which is rings here in Boston. That's how I see it. Now, you are right, Nelson. Anything can happen. He could get injured. He could have a bad season. You could sit back and say, well, hey, I got my contract. They're not going to get rid of me. I can do whatever I want now. There's a lot of ways of looking at it. Now, at the same time, he sat back and said, I'm going to retool what I need to do better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make that happen. And we're going to bring championships to Boston. That's what I want to hear. And so, that's what Brad thinks. If it's overpaid, probably. But, it's going to be a lot more players now going to be getting similar or even more. It's just a matter, are they better than Jaylen Brown or the same? So the next 5 years will be very interesting, starting with, obviously, this season coming up.
And here to reinforce my point about big contracts and players not producing, let's look at the Red Sox history with Carl Crawford.
Yep.
That was a debacle.
Yep.
That's just how the dominoes fall. I think if contracts were paid out based on just performance, no money's guaranteed like this on this scale, and if you achieve these numbers with points, assists, rebounds, then it's a incremental type system with salaries like this. I just think when you give somebody a large chunk of guaranteed money right out the gate, I'm not saying it brings a level of like security as far as like I don't really have to produce, even though they know they have to. But I just think if there wasn't this huge amount of money guaranteed, I think the attitude would be different. Now, LeBron James, on the other hand, Nike knew what they were buying. LeBron James, he excelled, and he's got his contract, he's got his money, lifetime Nike deal, but not all players that come into the league like that will perform like that. Right. I don't know. I just think with the big contracts, you're betting on something, but you don't know what you're going to get in the end. But then again, congratulations to him and his family. I've never, played in the NBA. I know it's hard to play in the NBA, night after night, different cities. Mm-hmm. But I just think, with contracts going forward, all that money could be spent getting multiple pieces rather than just one.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nelson from Fall River, thank you very much for calling. Call again.
All right, you guys have a great day.
All right, thank you very much.
And Paul, this is what's happening with running backs in the NFL. They don't want to pay them that big high contract with years like an Ezekiel Elliott got. And look what happened kind of with him. And so that's why Saquon and some of these other players who have not gotten their contracts feel kind of left out. And teams are saying, well, I can get other running backs who can kind of produce similar to what you're doing or just a little, or another guy in another position and still be okay. So that's the controversy that's going on right now in the NFL with running backs.
Well, I think the running backs might be just a little bit different only because the game has changed. So the running back value, I don't think is what it was. Even in Ezekiel Elliott or somebody like that, just doesn't have the impact. You know,
well,
now that
it's a passing league, but you still need to run the ball to win.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. You just can't pass 70 times and expect to win and never run the ball once. There's got to be some kind of running game, to throw off guys who can catch coming out of the backfield. Really so important. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed. And, Saquon ended up signing, but for only 1 year. So I don't know what that was all about. Looked like he was pressured into that one. I was trying to figure out, what he really wanted. And then he goes 1 year for $11 million. And I went, oh, okay. That's what you decided to do, where you could have been the franchise for like 10.1 or something like that. So
right.
I don't know, a little strange there, but I understand what you're saying with the value, but like he said, I could have took that money instead of doing the super max. If Brown leaves, I get something in return, maybe in two positions for that amount of money, that could really help me, another guard and then another forward. Now, does that take the place of Brown? Could. Would it? Probably not, but you'd have to find the right pieces. So they went with what they think is best. And I still think, because of this big three that the NBA does, you're going to need guys to have three people that you go to on the Celtics. And right now, obviously, it's Tatum, Brown. It's a matter of who's that third guy right now. Is it going to be Williams stepping in, getting his career going? Is it going to be Brogdon? That's what they're trying to find out.
All right, let's go to Mark from Chicago. They're in Santos on Sports. How are you?
How the heck are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Really glad to hear from you.
What a great show and great topics. And hey, isn't it good that we get to talk about some positive news on the Boston sports scene right now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, true.
Well, hey, listen, you're going from, what the Red Sox have been doing recently, which is obviously a tremendous July. Obviously what's going on with what they just did with Brown to try to say, hey, we want to make shot at championships here in basketball. I know it's been really difficult this week with Bergeron retiring, another topic that me and Paul will talk about. But, it's still part of the news that even the Bruins, even today, after what happened with Bergeron, they're already looking to find a center, and some names have surfaced and some good names. And I hope they can go out and get those kind of players, because they are good players.
So, Mark, what's on your mind?
Well, listen, the economics of the game today dictates the Supermax contracts. I mean,
yep.
Listen, there was no option to sign Jaylen Brown for $190 million. And I don't know the formulas involved.
Yeah,
that's a set number. So you had a choice of signing him for $300 million, trading him, or letting him be a free agent. So they didn't have a lot of choices in the matter. And listen, I read just yesterday that the number for Tatum next year is going to be $5,395,000. So that's a done deal. He ain't walking. So you're going to have $695 million in those two players.
Yep.
So I don't know, what could you have done different with Brown? The only thing I see is if there was any possibility of trading him for Lillard. And, and Chris and I have talked about this. Lillard's a lot older.
Yep.
A lot of wear on the tires.
Yep.
But, a different position, brings a little versatility to the offense. And I think he's got, as you say, Paul, I think Damian Lillard has that it factor in the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, I think Tatum and Brown have learned to play together. And, to Chris's point earlier, the offense is not – you're going to get the points.
Yep.
I don't see all of a sudden Jaylen Brown's going to score 20 a game. The points are going to be there.
Yep.
What I want to see is the continued improvement defensively, and I want to see the continued improvement with the turnovers and the ball handling.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, when I look at the Celtics, keeping Brown was a must. Forget about the salary. I think when you break it down a little further, the key next year is going to be two things for me. Porzingis gets the minutes that Horford was getting, and Horford can be now a bench role player who can come in, spread the floor a little bit, and play defense. But if you look at how many games in the playoffs, particularly the Miami series, did you see Horford go 0 for 7, 0 for 8 from three-point land? Maybe Porzingis goes 3 for 7 instead of 0 for 8, and he's younger, So I think the Porzingis move is a good one. I think given more expanded role to White, I was a smart guy. I know you guys have always criticized him, bad shots, and wanted to be the guy. I mean, I think an expanded role for White, I think he's more level-headed. He's more even-keeled. I think he'll bring a lot of value with a 30 minutes a night performance. And I think you got to look at, hey, if you're Peyton Pritchard, you've been asking for minutes. That guy's going to get 20 minutes a game next year. So Peyton Pritchard is going to be a key. He needs to step up, play less timid, and you need to get some scoring off the bench from him. But listen, overall, I like the move. I don't think you had much choice, to be honest with you.
Mark, to me, Lillard is 33, going to be 34. So at 34, yeah, okay, maybe I could get 1 year, maybe possibly 2. But that's it, because after 35, 36, that starts to really decline in wear and tear, as you said, compared to 26. And now I got 5 years at 31, where I'm in my prime right now, supposedly, with those years, and can make even a longer run. And I think that's how the Celtics had to kind of look at it if they didn't go after Lillard and saying, we can make a longer run with Brown than we can with Damian Lillard.
Yeah, and I think, listen, hey, Stevens obviously has said, hey, here's the deal. Brown and Tatum, I want to lock these guys up for the next 5-6 years. Mm-hmm. They're the cornerstones of the franchise.
Right.
And now it's the young guys that we're not paying any money. And listen, it's only summer league. I get it. But, this kid Walsh they got from Arkansas, he could be a decent player, know? And again, does White step up? Does Pritchard step up? Mm-hmm. Again, you need Brogdon and Porzingis to be healthy.
Yep.
Does that – and all will be good if all that works out. But I don't think you had much options with Brown. You weren't going to get value for him. Yep. And the economics of the game dictated what that number was, and it was $300 million.
Now, let me ask you while I have you on the line. I understand that you spent a day over at one of the great ballparks in the United States, Wrigley Field, and you were out there rooting for the Red Sox. And the Red Sox, I was watching that game. I know the game that you were at because I saw the picture on social media. The Red Sox had a great game that day, so it looks like you had quite an interesting afternoon watching the Red Sox and the Cubs.
Oh, yeah. Well, my kid wants to go see we saw him in Milwaukee a couple months ago. But, hey, listen, I'm not a Bloom supporter. But I think, in fairness to him, when he's trying to position, hey, this is what I see out of the team, it didn't look good in April and May, and Chris mentioned it earlier. I mentioned it in a text the other night, but Casas was batting like 180 in like May. So you've got Casas that's starting to hit. Something happened in the offseason with Duran. He's a player. I think you can start to see now, hey, you got Yoshida, Duran, and Verdugo as your outfield. Really good offensive outfield. Not a bad defensive outfield. I think they've gotten better. I think Story coming back is going to be a big lift, both offensively and defensively. And then you've got Duvall and Turner now that are your veterans on the bench. And, do they rotate between DH? Do they give Casas a day off? Or, honestly, if they're going to make any improvements, my guess would be Duvall. Might be somebody that gets traded away. What happens with Sale, I don't know. I think offensively, And with Story coming back, I'm comfortable defensively and with the lineup. But I think you need. Like, what are you going into a playoff series? Is Bayo's number one? I mean, assuming Sale will be number one if he's healthy. But and then you got Bayo and Paxton. Like, who are your starters? I think you need a big starting pitcher, and he's got to get that resolved. But they're going to keep that. And listen, Connor Wong all of a sudden has become a quietly good catcher. And you saw him; he threw out a guy last night in the ninth inning, right?
Yeah.
So the Red Sox they were 15 games out. I don't know what they are, Chris. You don't think they can catch Tampa, but they're only maybe 7 games out of first place.
Mm-hmm.
They're right there in the wild card. They got the best record in the last month of the season in the league. And I think these 2 games, although it's only 2 games, were big games against the Braves. They won one convincingly, and then they came back. You got to give Bloom a little bit of credit, even though I don't like doing that. And you got to give Cora a little bit of credit as well. And I'm not a Cora guy, but if Sale can give you anything, and the good news is he didn't need surgery, right? So at the end of the day, This guy had 2 months of rest.
All right.
So if Sale can come back and do anything, hey, you never know.
Mark, listen, it's interesting because you talked about Casas, who was batting 180, 190. And remember, he was like a 3-4-5 hitter. This guy right now, when everybody is there, could be your 8th batter. Think about that. Your 8th batter. You have Duran, Verdugo. Let's say Story's back. Then you have Devers. That's 4. Yoshida 5. Duvall 6. Turner 7. And Casas 8. And then Wong 9. So think about where he is now. He could be more comfortable batting down in that order, going from 180s up to 255 now. So think of that. That's a pretty good, in my estimation, a good lineup when they're all there. I'm still saying it will come down, as to you said, they need to get another pitcher. They need to get Sale healthy to finish the season. And then obviously what the bullpen can do. So if they can do that, I think they can make a push because I like their hitting. They're able to hit the ball.
All right. So Mark, I just want to say I have you penciled down for August the 7th. You're going to come by and see the other show, right?
Hey, you got to tell me where it is.
All right, I will.
I don't know if there's karaoke, open mic night. I can tell a few jokes. Maybe I get up there and just sing with chops. I don't know, but I'm all in.
Hey, Mark, I'll make sure when you're here, I'll reach out to you. We'll get together and we'll go see Paul.
All right. Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys, anything else?
No, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to take one more call. But thank you very much for participating in the show. We really appreciate it. And, hey, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing the Red Sox at Wrigley.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. It was a great night. Hey, great topics, great show. And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mark, thanks.
Okay. Let's see. Ryan in Rochester. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah. Busy today. We're having fun.
I love to hear it. I'm sorry about the buzzer beater call. It just took me a little while to get off the front.
That's all right. You working?
Yeah. I'm just on a little break right now.
I don't want you to get in trouble now. I appreciate you calling. Like, did you have to sneak into a back room when the boss isn't looking and stuff like that?
Oh, no. Of course not. I just asked someone if they could come up front to take my spot. Of course not. I'm ethical about it.
All right. No, I'm sure you are. I have no doubt about that.
I know. Just joking and all. Yeah, but I got to come support my guys, you know?
Thank you.
Hey,
So what's on your mind here?
Supermax deal with Jaylen Brown. What do you think?
So I'm kind of in between on actually I'm not really in between on this. You know, I like the player. I'm glad that he's back and all that, but the contract, it's way too ludicrous for my liking. The fact that he's making exponentially more than Tatum right now, this just scares me for the future because, you know, I think his deal is going to be up in a few years or so. Maybe
I think it's next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, you know, Chris, when I was going to say when Nelson from Fall River was on the line,
yeah,
and he was talking, he even mentioned Carl Crawford, which is kind of like a blast from the past. But I think the point he was making was sometimes when somebody gets paid all that money, like human nature is what it is. I'm sure he's going to try to do his best. I'm sure he's going to put his best foot forward. But, remember when he finally made the All-NBA? The next game after that, he didn't play too well. Same thing happened with Tatum. Tatum won the MVP of the All-Star game. Everybody was falling all over him. Then right after that, he went to a slump, So they're human beings, So I think that's what worries people like Nelson from Fall River.
Well, Ryan, what would you do with him? Would you have tried to trade him for Lillard? Would you have let him walk and let him test free agency? Or, the economics tell you, I got to make this deal. So there's only 3 possible things you can do. And the Celtics said, we're going to go economics and we're going to offer this. So how do you see it? What would you have done with him?
Well, preferably, I would have tried to see if you could get something for get him, trade him for Dame Lillard. But at the same time, he's made it abundantly clear it's like it's Miami or nothing. Yeah. So I'd hate to trade for Damian Lillard if there's no guarantee that he would actually suit up for the Boston Celtics. Mm-hmm. But I can agree there. They were just kind of backed into a corner. They couldn't really do anything else, and not like they couldn't get him for nothing certainly. But they wanted to keep him around, so they had to cough up this money.
Yeah, that a whole Brown Tatum thing, right? Do you feel optimistic about them teaming up and being able to get over the hump going down the road here?
That's just it. I don't know. The finals run with Ime Udoka as the head coach, that was the best that we saw. The 2 games away from winning an NBA Finals, but maybe it could work, but at the same time, what have I talked about with this team, with not just him, but the whole team? Like, it's turnovers. The man cannot dribble with his left hand to save his life without, bouncing it off his leg. So I'd say it's that he's got to work on, and maybe becoming more of a facilitator, kind of like what Tatum has grown into.
Well, yeah, he was exposed and they knew it. He knows it. And as he said, he's grown up from 20 to 26 to work on his scoring, to work on his rebounding, to work on his shot, and it's improved to drive, all the things that you have to do offensively. Now it's taking care of the ball, your ball handling, and he says, I'm going to now go out and work on what I need to do better at. And obviously for him, he knows it. It starts with turnovers and ball handling. And so if me and you, the average guy, can see it, I'm sure he sees it and says, I got to be better at this. So it's the cornerstones of this team, Brown and Tatum. It's as simple as that. And they're going to lock, I believe, those 2 guys in as long as they can, and then build around them and see how it goes. And hopefully they can bring championships to Boston.
But now here's the thing. My only worry about that is, Brown is going to be making $300 million. That was 50 plus million per year. Yep. Lord only knows what Tatum's contract is going to be like. So with those 2 guys alone taking up as much of the salary, the luxury tax as they are, what are they going to be able to surround them with? My fear is it's going to be Brown, Tatum, and a bunch of G leaguers.
And you still have Porzingis in there too, his contract.
Oh yeah. So I'm not even sure if they'll hold on to him for when Tatum gets his.
Yeah. All right.
Well, moves can be made at any time, and again, if Brown's success does not happen next year, he's another option that they could look back and say, well, it's just not working out, and maybe we can trade him now. I mean, anything can happen, and anything's possible, and teams are willing to take on salaries and always looking for a big star. So it's possible, he could be on the move if it just doesn't work out.
Well, Ryan, thank you very much for the call. We're running out of time, believe it or not, but make sure you tell the boss that, when Santos on Sports is on, you're under an agreement that you have to take 5 minutes and come out and call us.
No problem. We'll do. And by the way, I will, in fact, be at training camp tomorrow, so I'll give you some live reporting if I can.
Oh, that'll be great. So next week
we'll look forward to the next show. Yes,
I want to get the whole feel for what things. Hey, keep an eye on Zappy. Just like I know he's not going to play, but I just want to get a feel.
No problem. Will do. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, thank you, Ryan from Rochester. Yeah, I'm just wondering, maybe you can keep an eye on Bill Belichick and Mac Jones and see if there's some interaction there. They seem to be on ice a little bit. They got to talk too much about Bergeron. Class act. We wish them the best. We're glad they won that 1 cup. But I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors: John Seed, attorney at law; Lakeville Athletic Club in Lakeville; Citywide Glass; Dartmouth, Fall River, and Taunton; and Scotty's Pub. Pleasant Street in Fall River. I'd like to also thank our callers, Andrew from New Bedford, Josiah from New Bedford, Nelson from Fall River, Mark from Chicago, and Ryan from Rochester. Good lineup there.
Yeah, a great group. I'm glad they called in. I know it started off a little slow, but once that Supermax deal was out there, everybody wanted to know and gave their opinion. We were kind of a little bit of both, Paul. Some guys said, no, that's way too much. Others said, okay, that's not bad. And you know what, there was only 3 options. And unfortunately, the Celtics had to make the move, with today's economics. And that's how it goes.
Yeah. Mark pointed it out. Like, even though we're all uncomfortable with it, we don't really like it. We have like a bad feeling about it. Like, it's almost like the Celtics didn't have a choice.
Yeah. That's how that's today's game. And hopefully, he can right the ship and make sure his ball handling problems get better and lead the Celtics to where people around here expect them to be, in the championship or winning it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for all our participation out there today. We really, really appreciate it. Michael Cordero said, well, Tatum's contract next year is going to be even more. This is what we just talked about a moment ago. Yeah. So thank you very much, Michael Cordero. Thank you very much for all of the callers. Really appreciate it. Made for a fun show. For Chris Santos, I'm Paul Santos. We'll talk to you again very soon for more of Santos on Sports. And for those who called, call again. We really appreciate your input here on Santos on Sports. Have a great night.